I mean, yeah, or just like the Van Gogh experience, or these.
I did do that. I did actually go through the Van Gogh.
It's
experience.
a screensaver.
It is. It's a giant screensaver for Van Gogh, and you can go there and sit there and be immersed in the world of Van Gogh and 3D.
You know, you can do that by looking at the painting, actually, which is like 30 blocks away from your Van Gogh experience.
Welcome to another episode of Lucky Time Explosion. Oh, yeah.
Wow. What's up, everybody? Welcome back.
You guys didn't warn me about this.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We just dropped that on you hard.
Yeah, sorry. It's a morning like Zoo Crew radio show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
my energy needs to go up way higher.
Yeah, we're gonna prank call all your family later with a fart box.
Oh, nice.
Anyway, welcome back to Lucky Time Explosion, your news for art, chatter, interviews with local artists, and a bunch of other nonsense. Welcome back. It's been a minute. Good to see everybody.
It's been a minute. Spring this on you right away. I'm back from hemorrhoid surgery.
That's nice.
And it was...
You start off strong.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Not for the faint of heart.
And I can just tell y'all that if this is an operation that you have to get, you're not going to be happy.
No, well, I was excited for mine.
Right.
But we should introduce our guest today. We have the amazing Dan Rosen with us. Thank
totally
you for
normal
joining.
butthole.
Yeah. He doesn't have a stitch hanging out of his.
No issues.
Thank goodness.
No, me neither. Well, it is holiday time again, and we have a few holidays today on this lovely Tuesday.
Mm.
Today is Monte Cristo Day. That's Internet or National Monte Cristo Day. Yeah, have you ever had a Monte Cristo sandwich? You know what that is?
No, but I've met a man named Monty, and he was covered in Crisco.
That's close enough.
I would think so.
Yeah.
I don't think it counts.
Really?
Sorry.
Buzzed out.
I've never had the sandwich. What's in the sandwich?
It's a egg battered, deep fried ham and egg sandwich.
That
a ham and
sounds
cheese
good.
sandwich.
That's a good day.
Yeah. It was started by a restaurateur who wanted to drum up more business for his cafe.
Mm.
Are there any rules for getting a day? Like,
No.
is there a congressional committee? Do you have to submit an application, like a patent?
We were talking about this because we need to get our own, right? We do these day reads, and they're all so stupid. And it's
When's podcast day?
There's definitely is one. I can guarantee.
I think
Jamie,
there
look
is.
it up.
Every day is podcast day.
Podcast holiday. I bet you there is. Let's see. Nope.
We better get on that
Everyone hates
shit.
podcasting. Actually, I just read here the podcasting's dead. Oh shit! What are we doing?
Show canceled.
We're dancing on the grave of podcasts.
That sounds good. The other holiday today is National Pet Carbon Monoxide Safety Day. That sounds like a really fun one.
What had to happen for that? Someone felt really bad. Just one person really fucked up and killed their whole menagerie of pets.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
They turned the stove on, they left, and all 50 cats passed away.
Yeah.
God. It's relatively new, it looks like. It's been celebrated just since September 17th
Celebrated
of
is interesting.
2020. Yeah, it does
Do you
say
celebrate
celebrated.
it by gassing pets? Is that how you're supposed to celebrate it?
I have a pretty crazy story, actually, that's similar to that.
What?
I
You
did a
killed a
moving
pet?
job. No. No.
It's okay. This is a safe
Although
space.
I did have, when I was a kid, I had two hamsters, Ren and Stimpy. And Ren and Stimpy had babies, and then Ren and Stimpy ate their babies.
As they do.
That was so fucked up. It was like twitching, the little bones coming out. It was really horrible.
Did you film it and put it on?
I did.
On YouTube?
I'm old. I didn't even have. I couldn't get my VHS, my camcorder ready in
You
time.
weren't like looking through.
I know, right?
That would be sad. I started to read more about this to try and find it, and listen to the first sentence in this description of Pet Carbon Monoxide Safety Day. Since they first learned to handle fire in the year 800,000 BC, humans have had a complicated relationship with carbon monoxide.
And pets.
That just goes so hard. That's like way too much backstory.
From time immemorial,
For the
man has been drawn to the terrifying wonders of the flame.
The first time this was suggested was in 7,000 million BC when Kronk accidentally forgot to turn off the campfire and his T-Rex didn't wake up. So sad,
man.
dude. That is sad.
That's rough.
Oh, that is a sad and a weird one. And lastly, there's a very vague one today too. It's called Time's Up Day. Now, if you had to guess what the hell that's about, what would National Time's Up Day be?
Like, that's when you shed your mortal coil. Like, game over,
Well,
you're done.
My guess was like Tess Proctor.
Oh yeah, like the guy in the back who like tells
Who's
you
like,
when the
"Pencils
test is
down."
ready. Yeah,
Pencils down, and that person gets no love in society.
That's true. You're right.
That's
Everyone
true.
hates that guy.
he's reviled.
Yeah, because he's trying to catch you cheating, and you're
Ugh.
like, "Go away! I'm just texting."
Right. This is normal texting, not math texting. No, actually, apparently, this is all about being the bigger person because it's awfully easy to drift apart with people over a little disagreement. So, you
Why is
need
it called Time's Up? Time's up on what? Me not being the bigger person?
Right? Yeah. This is time's up on our relationship. We've drifted away. So, this is to celebrate officially ending your friendship.
Very poorly phrased.
I think it's supposed to be about like getting together because life's too short to be on bad terms with a friend, parent, or colleague, someone who used to be your close acquaintance, especially if they're important to you. So just get it over with and
Don't
sever
punch
them
your-
entirely.
Don't punch your mom in the face. Get along with.
I think if someone called me and be like, "Hey, I know we haven't talked in years, but I'm gonna be the bigger person," I'd be like, "Fuck, I'm the bigger person." How do you decide who gets to be the bigger person in this
Right.
relation? That would cause another fight between me and this friend.
Maybe we need a third party.
Definitely.
It's like, this is the problem with you. You're always trying to be the bigger person. And you never let me be the bigger person. And then you have to fight again until the next Time's Up Day.
If someone called me on and was like, "Hey, it's National Time's Up Day, so I want to reconnect with you because I haven't heard of you," I'd be like, "Who are you? Why do you know about this holiday? What is going on?" I would be very suspicious.
Well,
of
they have
anybody.
a podcast where they need to fill time. And so they look up the holidays and they're very aware.
Right?
It's me, Mike. Remember me from third grade?
It's call up all your old classmates day.
pencil in your ass and now you have hemorrhoids.
That's not how I got mine. Mine is a worse story. I'm not even going to tell my story. You can imagine all different things.
You don't
Go
want to
ahead.
hear
For
it.
the rest of this podcast, imagine his anus
Yeah.
and its journey through time.
I was told it looks like an octopus now.
National Octopus
Fucking
Anus
sucks.
Day.
Can you fry it and it's like a little calamari situation?
Oh, I may have to. If there's
Dip it in some marinara sauce for the ladies?
Fuck my life. Well, the thing is, they told me to, like, if this doesn't get taken care of, it could become cancerous. And when they told me that, I was like, well, I better start taking this shit seriously. No pun intended.
Right.
It's like when you have hemorrhoid surgery, you realize that, like, all puns have to do with asses.
What are the symptoms of hemorrhoids? You just bleed a lot?
Oh, it was so bad. But I got these pills called Hemrid. I'm not making
Hemrid.
this
Oh,
up.
that's a
I
good-
swear to God.
That's a good name.
And it's specifically, I don't know how it works. It's got herbs and spices and this and that and the other thing, but somehow it just locked up those little fucking fissures.
Herbs and
Locked in, that
spices.
wasn't-
Well, they're seasoning your blood. They're not.
There's
They're
all
not
sorts
curing
of
it.
shit in there. Something happened and it stops the bleeding. But, you know, again, when they told me that the cancerous thing. So, yeah, people take your asses seriously. you
But
know?
how long did you let it ride, though? Be honest.
Way too long.
It's just
I'm
cancer.
surprised I didn't bleed out and die in the toilet.
Jesus.
So it was just like The Shining every time you took a shit? That elevator
So
scene in The
bad.
Shining?
Yeah, it was like the hallway.
He flushed so many
was horrible.
twins.
It
Little
was
pairs of
bad. It
twins.
was a nightmare.
Maybe you're just having a miscarriages over and over.
Oh, man, ass miscarriages.
Ass carriages.
Ass carriages. Well, that's what I needed after the operation. I had to sit on this fancy little seat that has a hole where your hole is, so there's
Yeah.
no pressure. Yeah, it was awesome. I sat on that.
Hole where your hole is.
Or like a donut.
Yeah, like a special donut.
Yeah, everyone loves it. Did you bring the donut to work?
I didn't.
Damn.
It's okay.
You're just
I
raw dog in this chair right
yeah,
now.
I
I got
know.
past the
He's a
leaking
beast,
point. I
dude.
stopped leaking last week
Yeah.
on Friday.
He's a beast. He won't stop doing things that
The
he's not
viewers
supposed
can't
to
see under this table, so they can't verify.
do.
Pain
Right.
reminds me I'm alive.
He's actually a couple inches shorter.
Yeah.
He's sitting on the
All
hemorrhoid.
right, we'll pass. I'm sorry, everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, again, just
For anyone
take
who's
care of
still
your-
listening to
your
this,
bunghole.
Yeah.
which I can't imagine is anybody, let's talk about some art news in the city. Anything exciting going on with you, Dan, lately in the city, art related wise? I mean, I know you
Art-related?
get out there a lot for your content.
I do get out there. September's right the big month. All the openings. I haven't gone to see any of the hot new shows yet, though.
I haven't
I'm
either.
excited to hit the streets.
Well, one of those hot new shows you will not be able to go see because CJ Handry's flower show on Roosevelt Island's been shut down. Yep.
This is the first time hearing about this, and I'm devastated.
Yeah,
Same.
right. it's amazing how fast we can become attached
Feel
to
sick
things.
over this.
I want flowers.
No, so
Well,
CJ Henry tried to. They had a show that was too successful. I guess that's why it got shut down. Roosevelt Island's kind of hard to get to. You have to take a tram or a ferry over there.
I've never been. I grew up in New York, and I've never been to Roosevelt Island.
Oh my! Wait a minute. This might be a good segment because I've
So
also
Warped
not
Tour
been to
there.
a few places I definitely should have. I've never been to
What is the
Roosevelt
reason?
Island.
I mean, the only reason to go is to get free flowers.
Yeah, to go get a free
They have
flower.
like concerts there, like Roosevelt Island, right?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure I saw Warped Tour like in early
Oh yeah,
2000s.
There used to be a mental asylum
yeah.
right.
that they closed and they turned into like a Cornell Tech Institute.
Right.
And the people just switched over. All the mental patients became coders.
they didn't kick him out. They just stayed and changed.
Yeah,
their
like you guys
lives.
can either leave or become coders. And they all run successful
Turns out
tech
they
companies.
became awesome coders.
They all actually ended up becoming the ones who manipulate your AI images, and that's why everything's so fucked up looking.
Yeah.
When
So
you
all
go
I
to
get
the-
into-
They're
make
doing it
sense.
manually.
Yeah, it's all actually being done manually. But CJ Henry's show was about like flowers. You could go get and I think they're handcrafted like plushy flowers, like they're not real ones, but it looks like a greenhouse, and you can go in there and get one
Like
and
clown flowers?
buy
with the balloon?
extras. Yeah, not the full balloon clown flower, but like more like a Meow Wolf. You go to Meow Wolf and you see that like fake store where they have all the different fake products. They're like made out of like plushie and stuff like that.
Okay.
It was one of those. Those are really popular right now, right? Like we see a lot more like experiential things and like collector plushie stores in the fine art world.
Yeah, anything to get an Instagram story
Yeah.
that will go viral and to prevent you from actually thinking or interacting or considering art as
Right.
anything beyond just a photograph to share.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
It's bleak. I would say.
Bleak. You don't like that? I haven't been to the ice cream museum, the Museum of Ice Cream.
I mean, yeah, or just like the Van Gogh experience or these.
I did do that. I did actually go through the Van Gogh.
It's a
experience.
screensaver.
It is. It's a giant screensaver for Van Gogh, and you can go there and sit there and be immersed in the world of Van Gogh and 3D.
You know, you can do that by
projections.
looking at the painting, actually, which is like 30 blocks away from your Van Gogh experience.
It's true. There wasn't any Van Gogh in there.
If you're a little child who needs extra stimuli, you can even put on music too. You have AirPods. You can make your own little.
They won't
Van Gogh
kick you out
experience.
anymore for doing that.
No.
I had actually, while I was there was something really funny. I was standing in line and like buying like the cheapest merch I can. I want to get something from the gift shop because the whole thing's a fucking gift shop, right? It's like the
Yes.
whole point. So I was like, oh, I'll get this little $10 like skull pin from his drawing of like the skeleton. I thought that was kind of cool. And while I'm standing in line waiting for it, somebody was like, yeah, this is like, this gift shop's really like commercializing his work. Like they were just basically complaining
It's like
about
you're at the Van Gogh experience.
yeah. I was like,
You're at the Six Flags of Van Gogh.
I think they really were expecting a deep cultural experience, and maybe they got it in the room, and they were just disappointed that there was like Bob Ross merch at the gift shop.
They didn't realize. They thought they were having a genuine. Maybe they thought Van Gogh really made screensavers.
Maybe. I wonder if he would. I wonder how many artists out there right now are making screensavers. that
I
we're
mean, there
gonna
are certain
watch again.
screensavers. I'll never forget the pipes.
The
Yeah.
pipes.
The
yeah.
pipes is fucking
MC Escher
amazing.
designed those, I think.
Oh my god!
After
Yeah.
Dark. Oh, the
Check
flying
that out.
toasters. Those are the best.
Or just walking through the hallways,
yeah.
the bricks.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. We used to have to do things for.
Kids these days, they don't know about the pipes.
They don't know
No.
about Wolfenstein 3D.
They don't even know about Wolfenstein. That's true. Oh my God. Speaking of Wolfenstein, Trump tried to get assassinated again.
That was
I'm not-
a great segue.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I didn't hear about it yet. I don't know if you guys read about anything about it.
It was poorly attempted, I guess. So
They're not sending their best.
Apparently
no, absolutely
not.
not. These, they're not.
The
Much
second
like the
time.
immigrants from Mexico,
Man, we
according
need
to
to.
Trump, they're not sending.
Yeah,
The CIA is really recruiting from the bottom of the barrel.
it's pretty rough, man. Good timing though. Everyone was talking about how the debate was terrible and he lost it. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was. She started slow, and then he started talking about eating the cats and dogs, and then that's
that's all
was
anyone's
the
gonna
beginning of
hear.
the end.
yeah, I've seen a lot of great memes already from that. Have you?
Did you see all the videos of like people watching that with their pets?
Oh yeah.
And then the pet, when he starts talking about that, whether it
He
be cats
hides.
or dogs, they fucking freak out.
Mm.
One
It's
cat
'cause the
literally
person-
launched towards the TV and bounced off the fucking TV.
the person filming this TikTok's probably prodding them like from the other side, right?
Who was that guy, Antoine Dotson? You remember his like hide your cat, hide your
Oh,
dog?
yeah.
Because they eating everybody out here.
Yeah,
Someone
it's
should
like,
Hide
remix
your wife,
that.
hide your kids.
Yeah. Oh man.
But now it's hide.
Hide your cats, hide
Oh,
your dogs.
that was like the prime days of Shoyomo.
Oh, yeah.
Those dudes.
Shlomo erotic.
Yeah.
Slow
Not
jam
quite.
the news.
Not
right?
quite. Slow jam the news. Yeah. Auto tune the news, which was brilliant. I thought. I really liked that. Speaking of brilliant, you're doing some great stuff these days.
Oh, we really just went right from Trump.
Right
Trump
into
to
it. We got a
mine.
tight 30 we got to do here.
You did
know?
some really great stuff, including try to assassinate the former president.
So we're here to ask you why you did this. No, I actually met Dan when you were an oil painter. When I met
was.
you. Yeah, you were painting oils.
I was painting. I'm a failed oil painter.
So you turned a critic and comedian.
I was down there in the gym of con artists, it was like a kind of gym for artists.
It was, yeah. That's a great way to describe it. I think it's like a great way to describe it. It was a gym. You know, you paid for access and materials, and you go there and work out your creativity.
Yeah,
It was a lot of fun.
it was.
It was a cool space.
In an area that's been completely ruined by.
It was already on the way out.
It was already the Lower East Side, Ludlow Street. We were actually the signal once.
No. I think we were cool. I think the big signal for me was the Serafina.
Oh yeah,
As soon as the Serafina went in, we were still there doing business, and I was like, "Serafina's here! Like that's some restaurant you see at the airport."
yeah, airport restaurant.
I'm like, "Fuck, we're cooked. The neighborhood's over."
And you just see people walking around with like $20,000 handbags.
Yeah, and then they did the Louis Vuitton pop up, like right across the street as well, and I was like, "There it is again."
Yeah,
Like,
this was before it was called Dime Square. That area.
yeah, that's a little further down,
That's
but yeah,
true, that's
same
true.
street. You keep going down a little further. Dime Square is an interesting thing. I still don't fucking understand it. But do you know much about it? Like what it was? I know it was like podcasters set up outside, and
I think it was
That's
just
kind of
like
ways.
a joke name for a loose configuration of people whose parents pay their rent so they can write reactionary poetry that no one reads. I think that was the main.
It seemed to be very politically charged on like both. It seemed like there was a lot of action going on down there.
Yeah,
I couldn't
it's
tell.
for people who like want to get fucked up at 2 p.m. on a Thursday.
Oh.
But then it also immediately like whatever maybe slight artistic creative vanguard it was attempting was immediately undercut by like fancy hotels and restaurants
Right.
that just came and co-opted it.
I think it was called that because of there was a 99-cent store near there called Dimes.
No, it's a restaurant called Dimes.
It was a restaurant.
It's a restaurant.
Oh,
It's
that's
like
right. That's right.
There's two. There's like a Dimes grocery, and then it's still there.
That's what I was thinking
Been
of,
there
the
for a
grocery
while.
store. That's cool. Yeah. It was a funny little area. That was where Lazy Susan Gallery was, which was the second gallery started by the guy who started Con Artists, where we were hanging out in the basement over
I
there.
used to live with a guy that really took it to heart when that term was used, Lazy Susan, because his mom's name was Susan, and he legit would get mad.
What?
Yeah. He's like, don't say that my mom's
Can we
name is
call him right
Susan.
now? Can we call
She's
him right
not lazy.
Works real hard to give me a great life.
Jesus Christ. She's a good woman.
now? Let's prank call Susan right now.
I like that level of wokeness.
Yeah.
That is extreme, yeah.
Debbie Downer. No.
I'm the happiest person ever. Fuck you.
My wife's name is Debbie. Yes, she's a bummer, but
But yeah, tell me more about how you went to making the transition from like painting to doing comedy. Like, when did you start it? Because I know you've been doing it for a while. I've been watching you, but you've been popping off lately.
well, even when I was at Con Artists painting, I was doing open mics at the same time, and actually,
Were you painting and doing open mics at the same time?
I was not Bob Ross. I was improvising painting. I have 2 minutes. I have a tight 2 minutes, and I'm going to paint this tree.
That's a good bit.
But you have to do comedy at the same time. That's
Yeah.
the thing.
A bit I tried once. I do New Yorker cartoons, and I used to try a bit where I would test them out on the audience, but I would just say the caption, and then I would just be like, "Well, you kind of need the picture. You need." So it's a cat, and he's saying, "That's not me," and then no one would laugh. And then it's like, "No, but you need the. If you saw the picture, you guys would laugh."
So I would probably it would probably take me like 5 minutes, but then you'd hear one like guffaw from the back of the room.
There are
from me.
diminishing returns to this joke.
Yeah. How is that? Like your stuff's kind of I don't want to say it's like overly intellectual, but it's definitely smart and it's funny. And like sometimes being smart while you're being funny doesn't get the room going.
It does not get the room going at all.
Yeah.
People think you're pretentious, and they want the guy who makes fart jokes. It depends. There are certain rooms and certain. You kind of read the vibe. I feel like I have a big enough repertoire of jokes that I kind of listen to what the audience laughed at from what the host is saying, and before previous comedians, you can kind of gauge like what they find funny, where they're from. If you're performing in like a weird art space in Brooklyn, you can kind of get away with snootier intellectual references.
Right.
You can joke
they'll
about
at least pretend to laugh, like pretend to get it, right?
Yeah,
they'll laugh.
pretend.
They'll be like, oh.
But yeah, I mean, I perform at the Comedy Cellar, and that's definitely a much more.
That's a great venue. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really fun, but it's definitely more touristy.
What venues in Brooklyn do you dig when you do perform there?
I like Union Hall. I perform
Union
in
Hall's
Union
awesome.
Hall
Oh,
a
yeah.
bunch, and that usually has like good crowds. I'm trying to think what else.
How about the Cobra? Is it called the Cobra Club?
Cobra Club is cool.
I've seen a lot of good comedy shows there. I ran into Eric Andre there once, and I just gave him, I was excited. I was like, oh, cool. I gave him like a fist pound. I was with my brother, who's like crazy and wild and out there. And he's like, Eric, I got this idea, and da-da-da-da-da.
no.
And he's like, awesome, here's my email. Email me. So my brother's like, God, this is going to be awesome. He emails him, and like within minutes, it's like, this email does not exist.
Yeah.
I was like, well, there you go.
That's such a good move.
It is a good move.
think it
What
was
are they
like
going to do?
Eric-
Find you again?
It was like Eric Andre at ericandre.com or something.
That's funny.
It should have just responded like, "You're not funny."
That was.
I
a good
did the
night.
closest I've ever gotten to that is I sat next to Tim Robinson at a restaurant in LA, and I really did have a good idea for, and I think you should leave sketch.
Yeah.
I love him.
Yeah, he's great. And then I was like, I want to tell you this, but I know that you're stopped constantly on the street by assholes who thinks they have great ideas for your sketch. He's
Right.
like, what if you're like a weird guy who finds like a thing really annoying? And so I didn't need to add to that. So I'll just take it to my grave.
Okay. You're not going to spill the beans
No,
on here.
no one will know.
We'll steal it. We'll steal it then.
Yeah.
You're going to end up watching. You're never going to tell him, and you'll see it on the show one day, and he'll be
Yeah.
like, they went into my mind
You
and
stole my
sucked it
aura.
Happens to
out.
me all the
This
fucking
Thai
time.
restaurant.
How is that like? I feel like artists and stand-ups both have a kind of weird relationship with like stealing material, right? Or referencing each other. Like, do you find it similar at all?
Yeah, I feel like it's much more okay in art
Yeah.
because it's more,
Like self-referential.
yeah, it's more clearly self-referential, and it, like there's a whole kind of lineage of appropriation.
Right.
Art, whether it's like whatever Richard Prince or all those picture generation, or copying literally or doing homage and then doing your own spin on it. And I think it's much more acceptable. I feel like the people who don't like it are the people whose work is
Yeah.
being appropriated.
Yeah, usually.
Like there was that big scandal recently because I think like Vogue wanted to, for Prince's death anniversary, they wanted to use a photo, a painting that Warhol did of Prince.
Right. Yeah, I do remember this.
And they got the license from the Warhol Foundation, but then the photographer who took the photo that Warhol based it off of said that no, she also needs like to be paid and approved because she only agreed, or I guess she said she didn't even really agree to Warhol using it. So then it like went to the Supreme Court,
Oh,
and
man.
you
Wow.
had these like stuffy old. You like Amy Comey Barrett, like discussing issues of like appropriation and what is, trying to.
What is art?
Yeah, what is art and what is like transforming something,
Yeah.
and
what's
what is just
transformative or not?
copying, and that's such a bizarre category that I feel like is not in the purview of the Supreme Court justices. I don't think they teach that at Yale Law School, but
Yeah, right. That's got to be.
whereas in comedy, what you can steal and people often do is like in essence.
the essence of a bit. Like
So
they
you'll
generally
see, or a
do.
comedian. So like you'll see a lot of people doing
Oh.
Mitch Hedberg, but they're not doing Mitch
Oh.
Hedberg jokes.
Right,
you know?
right. They're just trying to do the fun.
Or
There's a girl on
Louis.
TikTok. You know that Mitch Hedberg girl on TikTok?
No, what does she
She's
do?
pretty funny, but she's pretty funny, and she seems to be like have her own material. She seems smart and makes her own good jokes, but like is literally like doing a Mitch Hedberg impression.
Yeah. And
That's like what it looks like.
does she say it openly or?
No, but I think she does kind of like acknowledge it. She doesn't like deny it or hide it or anything, but it's just the comments are filled with like, oh, you're female Mitch Hedberg, you're female Mitch Hedberg.
Yeah. I mean, when you're starting out, and I would say this is the same when you're
Yeah.
an artist, like you don't know how to have your own voice. So you do kind of start off copying
Right.
people you admire or imitating. And then eventually you figure out like what you want to say, or you get better and you kind of shed that.
Who are your like top favorite, some of your biggest influences comedy wise?
Bill Cosby, Louis C. No.
Bill Cosby, Louis C.K.
Yeah.
I mean,
my biggest influence, I definitely Hedberg was really big for me when I was in high school. Probably Chris Rock I listened to. It's weird because like these people, I don't think you can really see it in my comedy clearly, but those are the people who I listened to the most when I was growing up and just thinking about how to form a joke. So hopefully you can't watch my stand up and like see the influences, but
Right.
definitely like there are moves, I feel like Francis Ford Coppola would talk about it when he would get stuck. He'd be like, oh, what would Elia Kazan do? And you just kind of like think like, how would I solve this problem as someone else? And even if you think you're like stealing it, just because it's coming from you and your interpretation of it, it actually won't be apparent to anyone else because you're twisting it so much to your own experience.
I think for me, when I was young, Eddie Murphy, Raw, and Delirious were like really big for me because he did everything. It wasn't just comedy. He entertained. He danced. He sang. He did everything, and he had such a full, funny show. For me, that was definitely. How about you, Brandon? How about you?
for comedy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love George Carlin. I love,
I
Bill
listen
Hicks.
to Carlin a lot.
Yeah, I like so many. Emo Phillips,
Yeah, he's an interesting one.
one of my all-time
He's
favorite
like the
jokes.
Godfather of alt comedy, I would say.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. My favorite joke is probably the bridge joke. It's like a joke that takes probably like 15 minutes to tell, It's the
Like
premise.
the aristocrat.
No, it's the premise is that somebody is gonna like jump off a bridge and kill themselves, but he has a face that looks like a head of a horse, and so he goes back and forth with this guy about like not killing himself and about God and about all this stuff, and then it comes down to like, oh, you're a Christian, I'm a Christian, and then they go back and forth between their denominations and getting like more and more minutely different. Until the very end, he tells him to like, he's a heretic and pushes him off.
Well, you
It's
heard
brilliant.
about the recent
Joke spoiler.
bridge situation, right?
No, what's that?
Bon Jovi.
Bon Jovi.
Bon Jovi.
Oh, Bon Jovi.
Sorry, I put too much. I was
Yeah.
like, no, he saved somebody. They were about to jump off the bridge, and Bon Jovi was there, and he like, don't
Oh.
jump, and he started saying, and she came
That's
back over, and they
beautiful.
embraced, and everyone was like taking pictures.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
Wow.
Well,
If you're about to die and Bon Jovi shows, you're like, well, maybe there is a God.
yeah, I agree with that. I don't listen to him
He has
at
such
all.
beautiful hair. Yeah. Who would show up and you'd be like, I'm still going?
Yeah, oh, that would be so depressing.
Tom Holland.
Imagine that.
Billy Joel shows up. You're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Fuck this.
Tom McDonald shows up and goes
Yeah.
like, "Hey, bro, come on, you got so much to live for." Well, we're gonna tell. We'll
Hawk
get into
to a girl.
Hawk to a girl. Storytelling is a great part of comedy. We got some stories coming up in the second half of this show, so please stay tuned to us on Patreon. Check us out if you haven't already. We're gonna continue with Dan Rosen. Thank you guys for joining so much.
Sign up for the goods.
Yeah, it's the good shit.
Well, the
really.
next part
but
is
before we go,
story about me being kidnapped.
that's
so.
true. You want to stay tuned, but Dan, tell them where they can find you, where they can follow you, and what you're doing next.
The Dan Rosen on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter and all that. And I have a podcast now too, who does not, called Middlebrow. So check that out.
Middlebrow, good show. All right, go out there, check it out, and we'll see you in a minute. And
All right.
welcome back.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the second half. If you're here, it's because you're on our Patreon. We love you. Thank you. Oh, you're the best.
You killed it.
Yay.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to hear a story from Morgan today. Finally, you're going to tell the tale of your kidnapping.
That's right. So I was like 28, and I worked for my dad.
You were 28?
I was 28.
Okay. So already we're not
Okay, sorry, I was like
kidnapping.
Not a kid.
I was 27.
Not a kid.
Something like that. Anyways, so I was working for my dad, who is a floor layer. Body got fucked up, so now he's a carpet salesman, and I run the warehouse with all the carpet, the padding, this, that, the other thing. And this guy worked for my dad. His name was Bob. We called him Bible Bob, and he was pretty religious. And we knew that he was pretty crazy. He was put in jail before.
Where was this?
Rockland County, which is about maybe about 40 minutes from here. And this guy Bob, he was like, "Listen, I got a job for me and you. We're going to do a carpet job, but I'm going to get you way more money than you usually make working for your dad for a day." I said, "All right, great. I'm going to call in sick. I'm going to tell my dad I don't feel good, and I'm going to go to work with Bob." So that's what we do. So I drop my car off. I jump into the van with Bob, and you know W.B. Mason, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Who? But W.B.
Mustache guy.
Yeah,
on the
he
truck.
kind of looked like W.B. Mason had fallen onto hard times. Like he was a frazzled W.B.
Okay.
You know, red hair, ice cold blue eyes. Anyway, so he's asking me questions. He's like, "Are you still dating?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Is she?" I'm Jewish. He's like, "Is she Jewish?" I'm like, "No." He's like, He's like, "I don't know if you're going to be ready." I'm like, "Ready for what?" He's like, "The end of days."
He's a Christian?
Born again Christian or born again. I don't even know. He's
Okay.
something. So he's asking me all these weird questions. And now it's like 10 minutes in driving around. I'm like, what the fuck? He's asking me all these questions, telling me about how there's a court in the sky, certain people are hexed, and that I should really take a trip with him to Israel. And it's getting weirder and weirder. And now it's like 20 minutes in, and there's no carpet or anything in the back of the truck. I'm like, okay. So it's getting weirder and weirder. And finally, he pulls over to the side of the street, and he starts like muttering to the sky. He's like, "He doesn't understand." I'm like, okay. And like, out
He's
of
like
a
talking about you to the sky.
he was like mumbling and also saying things like, "He won't understand."
That's
when I start running.
Well, that's what
So
most people are like. Why did
speaking
you
in
fucking run?
in tongues?
Yeah, in tongues. And at that point, most people are like, "Why didn't you run?" But I'm sick. Like I have this morbid curiosity. I'm like, what's going to happen next? So like out of a Ren
You're
and
strapped
Stimpy,
in for the show.
yeah, like out of a Ren and Stimpy cartoon, this man takes his button-down shirt and rips it, exposing his chest within the van, and he's like, "Ah!" And he grabs me and he hugs me and he's like, "I love you, I love you." I'm like, "Bob, everything is okay." He's like, "You don't understand. You don't understand." He looks at me. He's like, "Did your dad still smoke weed?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "We have to tell him. We have to tell him he has to stop to be ready for the end of days." I was like, "Yeah, let's go." And the office was
He's
like
having
not
a
too
full
far
mental
from there.
breakdown.
So I'm like, "Holy shit, yeah, let's go." So we're on our way. And then he's like, "No, there's something else we have to do." I was like, "Okay." So then he drives to a cemetery, right? And he's like, "This is where all the devils sleep." And there's like this cup
Where the devils sleep?
where the devils sleep. And the cup,
Was
there's
there
like
nothing on TV that day that you wanted some entertainment?
Morgan goes through some extreme
so there's
situations
like
to
this
entertain
cup, this
himself.
coffee cup that must have been there for weeks that had about like a little bit of coffee left. And he takes it and he splashes it in my fucking face, licks his fucking thumb, presses it against my forehead and starts mumbling again. He's like, "You're blood, you're blood." And you know, when you get hit with something wet in the face, your first reaction would be to wipe it. I was so mortified that I was just like
Was it
staring.
hot coffee?
Probably was there for like a week. Cold, little smidgen of coffee splashed me in the face. Now we're in a cemetery, and it's like snow had just fallen.
So he's baptizing you with like
I guess so.
leftover Dunkin'
Coffee,
Donuts.
correct. So we get out. He's
I
like,
want in this cult.
But why
I
would a
drink a lot of
cemetery?
coffee.
You'd think you wouldn't want the devils there.
I don't know. He wanted to show me where they slept.
Okay.
Oh.
So we get out of the van. He stops. We get out of the van. I'm just standing there and watching him do all this. And he takes his Carhartt jacket, throws it into the snow. He like rubs the snow into the jacket and then puts it around me. He's like, "You don't understand. Like it's coming." And I'm like, "Okay." And then it's a sick fuck that I am. I get back in the van and he starts telling me how I have the soul of Abraham and that me and him are probably going to rule the world for 10,000 years. And I'm like, I'm not really saying anything at this point because there's
Sounds
not
like you
much
haven't
to
said
say.
fucking much at
There's
all.
really not much to say. And he's going
Doesn't
on
seem
and on
a
about like Jesus.
conversation.
Yeah, Jesus spending time in hell and all these different things. And at this point, I'm like, today might be my last day. I'm like, today might. And
But
all
you got back in the van.
yeah, I was back in the van. All the colors changed. Like everything started. Like
Was he
all this.
big? Could he have taken you?
He was like, he wasn't a big guy, but like he was someone who has done physical labor their whole lives, so could probably like crush rocks with their fucking hands, you know?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And so
You say colors are changing. He drug you with that coffee? What's going on there?
I was just
You're just caught up in the moment.
I
You're
don't
starting
know.
to
I was
believe
like
it.
paralyzed. It
You're
was just
like,
like, I
yeah.
can't believe what's happening right now.
Yeah.
So I'm,
And
whatever.
he'd never shown this level of
He's
psychosis
crazy, but
before.
not this level. Like we all know, his name's Bible Bob. He's a pretty wacky dude, as most people are that read the Bible. And so, anyways, we park at the end of this like path, and it's like a dead end. And I was like, I'm done. This is it. He's gonna fucking kill me.
Uh-huh.
And he looks at me. He goes, "Take my hand." And I take his hand, and he looks at me with these cold, ice blue eyes, and he goes, "Do you know who I am?" And I could have said, "Yeah, you're fucking crazy, Bob. Like, fucking
You're
chill out."
Bible
Or whatever.
Bobby.
I just shook my head. I was
Yeah.
like, "No." And he's like, "I am the Son of God. I am the Mashiach, and I have returned." I'm like, and again, I'm just like shaking my head. I'm like,
You're like, yes, sir.
okay. And at this point, we're
And
in
you
a,
probably didn't think you were going to meet the Messiah that day.
I know. Little did I know. That was my lucky day.
You knew him all along.
I've
So-
never met the Messiah, so
I know. You guys missing out. Anyways, so he's like, now we're in an area called Muncie, Rockland. Now in Muncie, it's just Orthodox and Hasidics. That's it. Like there's no reason for anybody to be in that area otherwise. So he goes, there's one more thing we have to do. And I'm like, okay. So we drive and we pull into the driveway of this huge synagogue. And he puts on this like robe and he grabs these candlesticks and he goes, "You're going to follow me in." And I said, okay.
Oh my God.
So we go into the synagogue, and if you're not Hasidic, there's no reason. So it's a red flag immediately. We go in, there's
he was
kids.
not Hasidic.
He was not Hasidic. He was a roughed up W.B. Mason. We go in, and he raises his arms. He's like, the Mashiach is here. I have returned. And the Hasidics look at me, and I'm like, I wasn't even supposed to be here today.
You're
And
like, I don't know
fucking-
this Messiah.
Right, yeah, I know other ones, but not this guy. And I fucking run out of the fucking building. I grab my tools because, like, I need my tools. My dad would be pissed.
Yeah.
And I'm running up the street to the first house I see, which, of course, like I said, it's all Hasidic. So I start knocking on the door, jumping up and down, going, "I was just kidnapped. This guy, Bible Bob, he's crazy. He thinks he's God. He's down the street." And, of course, what do you think the woman's going to do? She calls the cops on me because
Right.
now this kid is jumping up and down talking about how he was just fucking kidnapped. So the cops pull up and they're like, "What's going on here?" And they pat me down. I'm like, "Listen, man, this guy's crazy. I thought we were going to lay carpet." I mean, the whole story sounds fucking nuts. He's like, all right. I'm like, he's down the street right now. I'm telling you right
Was he still
now.
at the synagogue?
He's still at the synagogue. And they put me in the back of the cop car. And then the cop gets in and
It'd
he
be
opens.
funny if they made him the Messiah. The Orthodox Jews were like convinced.
Well, this is-
by the
now, you're
time
not
you
too
get
far
back,
off.
by
I
the
get
time
into
you
the
get back,
car.
he's
I get
already
into
done.
the cop car, and the guy opens up the glove compartment and pulls out a Bible and starts reading it. And I'm like, okay, I'm on a prank show. I'm like, what the fuck this is too weird, man. This is fucking crazy. And all of a sudden, as he's reading the Bible, you hear on the police thing, "There's a disturbance at blah, blah, blah synagogue." I'm like, that's Bob. That's fucking Bob. You got to stop him. So he jumps into the car. We drive down, and they take him in. They subdue him. They're like, all right, well, here's the deal. They want to press charges. I'm like, me? They're like, trespassing. I'm like, I thought I was just going to make some money laying flooring today. They're like, well, you have two options. Either we could take you to the police station or we could take you to Rockland County Psych Ward. I said, take me to the Psych Ward.
What?
So they take me to the
Wrong
Psych
decision.
Ward. No, well, it was right. I don't want to go to
You
fucking
go to the police station
office.
and you say,
Yeah,
this
fuck
guy
that.
kidnapped me.
Yeah, you don't know how
You
long
don't
could, and
turn
then
yourself into
people
the
get
psych ward.
Stuck in the psych ward for years, and they're like, "I'm not crazy," and like, that's exactly what a crazy person.
Here's a
would say.
pill, dummy.
Yeah. And you're just fun enough for them not to let you out.
Yeah, I did make. Well, anyways, I wound up and I was, they realized that I wasn't crazy. They realized who I was, Morgan Lappin.
Yeah,
My
the
own
famous
world. But
collage
anyways,
artist.
and they told, and I before I left the one office, I was like, "How many people do you deal with that think they're the son of God?" They're like, "All the time." I'm like, man, what a fucking crazy job you got. And then I go to the office and I call my dad. I'm like, "Hey, Dad, what's up?" He's like, "How you feeling?" Because I told him I was sick.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Well, I took a job with Bob. He kidnapped me. He wanted to rule the world for 10,000 years with me, and now I'm at the psych ward. He's like, what? I'm like, Bob kidnapped me. You have to free me from Rockland County psych ward. He's like, I'll be right there. And he picked me up, and I'll tell you, man, like I said, the
That's a good
colors in
dad.
my life.
That's a good dad.
My dad's a crazy son of a bitch, and
He believes in mermaids.
he believes in mermaids. But yeah, he picked me up, and I was like, I really truly felt that was it. I was like, I could have died today, easy.
Now, tell the truth. How close were you to like just going full on board with Bob here and being like,
No,
you know
I didn't
what?
want to.
He
10,000
is-
years is a long time. I don't want to be alive for it to like.
Yeah, that
I
car
don't
ride
want to
was a
make
long
it to
time to do it.
85.
Yeah.
Let alone 10,000 fucking years, man.
Good
No way.
Lord.
And my uncle Bruce, who's pretty crazy himself, he visited him in the psych ward, and he's like, "That was meant to be. Like that whole thing was planned to a T. Like there was no job. There was never a
Oh,
job.
yeah.
He wanted
He
to
just
take me
wanted
to
you.
Israel. I swear, he wanted to take me to Israel, and we were going to do something there, and then rule the world for 10,000
Was
years.
Bob Jewish?
I think that he was like a born. I don't know what he was.
Jews for
I don't-
Jesus?
I-
And-
it might have been actually Jews.
And
for Jesus.
why did he pick you?
Well, just look at me.
It's
No, I don't
pretty
know.
obvious.
I guess he thought
And
that I had to.
that's how I met your mother.
Yeah, that's how I met my boyfriend Bob.
But that's how I met your Mashiach.
Oh yeah, that's how I met my Mashiach. Holy
You were
shit,
this
dude.
close. You were just
I
this
thought
close.
that was it. I felt like there was a feeling within my body that like like it rang. Like I'm fucked.
But why didn't
I'm in
you
trouble.
run?
Don't have an answer. I know. I
At
don't know
least
what to
it
tell
was
you.
like, at least
I
it
was,
was
like, paralyzed.
candlesticks.
I guess now we know how you react in high stress situations.
I
which
just
is
was
you freeze.
amazed
Yeah.
at the situation, and
And we can get him to partner up with us to go
I
storm,
wanted to see
storm
what.
a religious place.
Yeah, I wanted to see what would happen next.
What if
Obviously,
you took out like AK-47s and we're like, we're
I
killing.
know.
oh, he probably could have broke my neck with his bare hands. I thought that like it would. He's an hearted, rugged man. I thought that like it's. Plus, if you think you're the son of God,
Yeah.
you probably have crazy strength. You can crush him.
I was going to say, it's a good thing those are
don't even know.
candlesticks. It sounds like, it's a too common story these days. Like, here, hold my AR-15 with all these magazines
Yeah.
that I've written a bunch of Bible verses on all over.
Well, he made the paper. They had like a little article, man trespassing, blah blah blah.
What,
Oh, yeah.
what had happened if you had said no that day? Would he have just like given up on his dream and just like continued working at the carpet store?
It's an interesting question.
He's like, it's either me and Morgan are going to rule the world for 10,000 years or just laying down carpet.
Yeah,
I don't
Those
even
are
know. I would
the
think
two paths. Which way, Western man?
he may be. I don't even know. He wasn't. I mean, at the time, he was probably in his like mid 40s, maybe.
Where's he at now?
But I don't know. That's the thing.
You stopped
Well,
talking
we got
to him?
him right here.
we go.
Bob,
Yeah.
come
Yeah,
on
come
out
on
here.
That would be awesome. Maybe I should do some research and find out where Bob is. Have him on the show.
Oh, my
That would be
God.
quite the interview, man.
Yeah, get
I will
security,
not
I
be in
guess.
attendance that day.
Yeah, right. We're not getting Dan back for that one. That's pretty fun.
Yeah, it
I
was
can't say
wild.
I've ever been kidnapped by religious extremists.
Yeah.
I mean, the closest I've gotten to that is somebody being mean to me at the Methodist potluck. That's about as
Maybe
far
I
as
should
it
be
goes.
flattered.
Yeah,
He
probably.
chose me,
Yeah,
no one else.
I mean, you were gonna rule the world with him.
Maybe I gave
Did
up
he
on
have a
something.
wife and kids? And stuff?
No.
No,
No way. Not Bible
And
Bob.
then he went to a mental institute after that?
Well, you know how it goes now. Like you said, didn't you tell me that Reagan, what did Reagan do again? He closed all the asylums. Didn't you say he
back
did
in the
something?
day, that was one of the things he was known for, was shutting down the mental asylums,
But that's silly.
and then they don't got nowhere place to go.
Yeah. But the
Yeah.
streets of New
They had
York.
the L train.
Now they have the L train. Yeah, exactly. Man, the L train is crazy. I have not rode it in such a long time. Since I've been in the city, I've been running my one wheel everywhere, so I have avoided subway
You're
for a
all
long
crazy.
time.
Oh, it doesn't matter what train it is.
Yeah.
I'm on usually the JM. JM is fucking insane too.
No, I rode the L for the first time in like years the other day to go to some like crypto rooftop art party, which was what you would
Sure.
think it
Was
was.
Ja Rule there?
No, but Ja Rule did go to one. He was the special
Yeah.
guest at one that I went to.
Oh yeah, no,
once.
he's big with the NFTs.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
huge.
yeah.
And that guy that did the Fire Festival's doing a new Fire
He's
Festival.
back,
Did you see?
yeah.
He's back, and it's called Fire Festival.
Fire Festival too. I want to go.
Hell yeah.
I mean, it's such a shit show. You'd probably just be like, "Holy!"
What if
but
it
I don't
actually
even
ends up
know.
being amazing this time?
That would be cool.
It's like the coolest concert.
I think there are certain tickets at like 100,000. Something
Oasis
insane. Something
is going to play.
I think it's going to be all influencers
The
hoping
Beatles.
They're just going to play
The Beatles.
Wonderwall 20 times in a row.
Oh, well, we wanted to give old Billy McFarland a boost.
We have these pods, these cryopods. We've been growing people out. That's why the tickets are so expensive. We had to grow your favorite celebrities back.
If Lindsay Lohan is going to be there, I'll go.
No. I bet you it's going to be like, a third just influencers hoping it's another disaster.
Yeah.
Like walking around with their phones.
Because that's
like,
what you want
"Whoop, whoop,
actually
whoop."
now. Well, that's the thing. It'll be a disappointment if it's a good festival.
Right. You're looking to get fucking.
You want it to be Survivor.
Right.
In which case, I can offer that up. I can feed them Wonder Bread and American cheese
Yeah, I
sandwiches.
remember that. Just bread and cheese slices.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
That was a pretty big disaster, but pretty fun to watch.
2
It happened.
documentaries made off of that one
I know.
situation.
And he went to prison.
He went to
He
prison,
did.
but he
He did.
immediately got out and started selling again, like tickets to VIP, like shit that didn't exist.
Scam never sleeps, bro.
Scam.
Can't stop.
Scam don't stop. You got to keep doing it.
Hustle strong.
What would your like a hustle scam style workshop be for? Like what would you tell people that you could
Do for them?
give them? Yeah.
I have one.
Oh yeah, but yours is like legit. Yours like you were a collage artist. You're talking about collage making.
I'm talking about my OnlyFans.
Oh, there's that too. Yeah.
That's
Which
what you would
is-
do. It's a scam.
Well, no, it's not really a scam. I guess it's real. People should pay for it.
I would start improv classes
Mm.
and convince people that if they take them, then maybe one day they'll get on Saturday Night Live, and then I'll have teachers who themselves were duped by this same process teach it to the kids, and I'll have a whole school. And you have to pay a lot of money, and then even the ones who get to perform, they'll perform for free because it's such an honor to perform.
Yes.
And I'll call it something like the Upright Citizens Brigade.
Oh, shots fired. Did you go to UCB?
I took those classes.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy them?
Yeah, I was in college. Yeah, they were fine and fun. I don't think I really got everything out of them, but it was really like the levels were so disparate that it became kind of useless. Like there were people there who were just like trying to get better at public speaking for their law job, and then there were people there who were like genuinely really funny and like maybe had the potential to be comedians, but like those people shouldn't be in the same improv class together. That's not because you get stuck in a scene with someone who had the humor of like a CD case.
yeah.
And then
It's hard to work when you have very little to work with.
I like to go to amateur improv sometime just for the cringe.
I've seen good improv though at UCB.
I know,
though.
sometimes
I've
it's
seen like
good.
really, really
yeah,
good
I used to
shit.
go to ASCAT when I was
Oh yeah,
in high
ASCAT.
school, which was like there you would see like the SNL cast members, or you'd
That's
see
cool.
like really so like Amy
That's
Poehler
like the
and
special
Seth Meyers.
forces.
Yeah, like the funniest show you've ever seen is an improv show, and then also the worst 1,000 shows you've seen are an improv show. Like
Yeah,
there's
it's
no middle. Whereas stand up can like
Be okay.
it can be mediocre.
Yeah.
And improv has no capacity. It's either like amazing or you want to crawl under the seat and blow up the place.
We had Rob Contrell on, and we were talking about stand up, and like it is hard stuff to do. And
I
I've
agree.
seen a
What
lot
I
of
do is
bad.
really hard.
It is. I think so. I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. I think so because people have told me in the past, "Oh, you're funny. You should try it." And I like just
No,
I
that's
couldn't
not
even.
enough.
I know it's not enough, and I couldn't get past. Like I was like, okay, I'll try writing some jokes. So I started writing some jokes, and I was like, I'm not good at writing jokes. I'm going to stop now before I embarrass
Yeah,
myself.
being like someone who is funny in normal life does not translate to
Yeah.
stand up. Two very, very different worlds. People don't understand that.
It's true.
No, because also a lot of people don't realize why they're funny.
Yeah.
There could just be like they're just gregarious or they're ridiculous or silly, and that's not enough to be a good stand-up. You actually have to understand what about you specifically do people find funny, and then you have to harness that and
Yeah.
control it and figure out how to manipulate it and exaggerate it and take advantage of it, which is I think quite different than
It
being
is.
like the person who whatever like crushes beer cans on their forehead.
Right.
to their
Like
friends.
Casey Rocket. You watch, do
No,
you
what's
know Kill Tony?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Casey Rocket's one of the more popular ones on Kill Tony right now. He's kind of got like a Robin Williams style all over the place. He's quirky, he's weird, and like I feel like he's not even telling jokes. People love him. And
Yeah.
it's like, I can't even.
But is he just funny because like they kind of laugh at him?
I guess so. Like, I feel like that's why people either hate him or they love him. And I think a lot of it comes down to that fact that it's like it's mainly based on his like his ticks, you know.
Every time I see a comedian do well on Kill Tony, they're always the least funny person I've ever seen. They're
That's
doing like the
kinda true.
hackiest Holocaust jokes,
Right?
and then the audience is like, ah, and like, what is?
It's a rowdy live crowd. I guess that's kind of they're
Yeah,
going for
they just-
lowest common
They
denominator.
want like edgelord shit too.
Yeah, yeah.
Some of the
yeah.
best comedy, like just older comedy going back, Dangerfields, like early Dangerfields, like, you know, early Seinfeld and like early Andrew Dice Clay, stuff like that. But like, you know, you go back and you realize, like, obviously there's a lot you can't do anymore. But
Right.
There's a vibrate mode.
no, that was my ass whistle again.
Yeah, he needs it to go off every 10 minutes now
But
to
just
remind him to take his
brutal.
pills.
Like,
Andrew Dice
comedians
Clay
who
is-
would just rip people apart, like destroy people. But he was early. Andrew Dice Clay is really tough. Like you, if you're in the front row, you're fucked. You are fucked. But
He was very
it's hard to
abrasive.
find
I don't
out.
find that him funny at all. I can't listen. I
Yeah.
like listen to it and like this is completely a product of its time. Like
Yeah, I
well,
agree.
it's definitely dated.
I'd say
There's no
comedy
doubt.
of all the art forms ages the worst. Stand up comedy ages the worst.
I
you,
could
you
see
go
that.
back and you like watch stuff that people think was like Lenny Bruce, like these icons, and you're like, this is
Right.
incomprehensible
Yeah.
to me. But also it's like so topical and so current.
Right.
Right. There's a lot of niche. You have kind of your own little niche going on, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of like took the art stuff that I was doing, and I think there's just not a lot of comedy
Yeah.
or criticism in that space.
There really is.
So I like accidentally stumbled upon this open lane. For myself.
That's good though. You know, you
Um,
gotta have to kind of make it. Like that's kind of what we're trying to do here with the show too. Is like there's no show about art that I could find that's like a podcast or a web show that was entertaining at all.
Yeah.
Like it's
there
very
are a few,
dry.
but they're all like really dry, or they're very insidery.
right, insidery or just so dry because everything's got to be taken so seriously.
Yeah.
And it's fun to take the piss out of stuff sometimes. And I think it actually makes people connect with it a lot more. And now I'm seeing a lot more people like this Justin Bua guy who's like going online and just shitting all over any kind
that
of
guy. He's
contemporary art stuff that looks at all suspect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I feel like sometimes that gets weird because he'll get like Marcel Duchamp, like, you know,
And he'll shit
like
on that.
he'll get like, he'll shit on that in line with everybody else. And he's like, this is not fucking art. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, but
Well, see, there's a lot of, and it's so easy to make fun of like conceptual art or contemporary art,
right.
but also that's like it's like giving the people like the slop that they want already.
Right. Yeah.
And I try to be like wary of that because I do think like yes, there's a lot of really shitty, lazy contemporary art, conceptual art, just like there is in any art form. They're mostly bad movies, mostly bad music. You know, the difference is we aren't like, oh, that's not. People say like, oh, that's not art. No one's like,
Right.
oh, that's not a movie. If it's a movie they don't like,
Right. They're
It
like, it
doesn't-
sucks.
yeah, just say it's a bad movie or like that's a bad song. But they don't even question whether art is the only thing where people like even question whether it should be accounted as the form.
Right.
And you should think about like 90% of art is bad, but that doesn't mean you know. But if you approach it all like with this snarky, like, oh well, if it's de-skilled in any way, and that's the only way that you know people maybe outside the art world recognize something as being quote unquote good, is if there's like a
if it's
technical.
de-skilled?
No,
Or
they
oh,
don't.
yeah.
If it's only if it's technically skilled.
Right.
Like we've, you know, and part of that is because there's like an insiderness and elitism and a language around art that is off-putting. But I try to like, if you know, there's a lot of conceptual art that I do think is good or interesting, and so I, you know, hopefully try to use humor to try to differentiate between like the lazy versions of that, and the more like exciting. Interesting.
Yeah,
things.
I agree. I feel like this is why I was excited to talk to you too, because like I sense that you've got that, you know, got a strong art history knowledge. You know about these people and the importance of it, and I think that de-skilled thing is interesting too, because I almost feel like it's felt for people. The feeling is that it's kind of the opposite. That if it's too skilled, it's like schlock or it's not real art because it's not expressive enough. Like we went through that such a huge phase of de-skilling and minimalism and bringing down that you've got all these people starting not with classical training, but like starting getting right into abstract expressionism. and sort of like action paintings and stuff. All
Yeah,
those
definitely
swirl
art schools
paintings.
don't teach like the foundations of art like they used to. Like you don't have like a like a painting background and a sculpture background. You kind of like approach it more from a theoretical conceptual point of view, and then you
Right.
learn those things. You learn maybe a specific skill set when needed. But we do. I do think there's been a shift in art where like how far can you go with just like a normal representation of a thing, and I think you do see a lot of, I would say, skilled painters. Let's say now, which is like an old medium that you could classify as figurative, but whether it's like Nicole Eisenman or like Dana Schutz or whatever, people who are pushing figurative painting forward, but they're the difference between that kind of figurative painting and like the schlock, which is usually when I see like a painting goes viral on Twitter, it's like, how come no one's painting like this? And it's like the most saccharine, like hot, big tittied like woman in like a sheer dress, like floating in the wind.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's stuff like what Mark Zuckerberg got for his wife, right?
Yeah. I saw that
and
sculpture.
people like, why aren't we doing? Why this is the real art? It's like, no, because that's like romantic kitsch, and there's no meaning behind it, and it's not the fact that it's like quote unquote skilled. Like Charles Rosen is a sculptor I love, and he makes extremely quote unquote like realistic figures, but he's pushing the boundaries of the material, of their presence, of scale. That there's a lot more going on beyond just like, does this look like the thing?
Right. There's a lot of like boundary pushing for the sake of it too, like trying to move things forward or trying to do something that's like new or exciting. I'm guilty of that shit. I'm always like trying to do stuff in VR just because it's in VR.
Well, that's the history of modern art is this linear progression, where you're like building on and destroying the past and creating something new. But the further and further you go to create something new, it is going to become like less and less potentially accessible or recognizable to people as, a landscape or a painting or whatever they think in their everyday life is art. And how do you communicate to people that like, maybe the VR thing could be art, or just because it doesn't, it's using the forms and materials of today.
Right.
Why doesn't that make it an art?
Yeah, exactly. It's like an art form that's like recognized, but it's like art is weird. It's like ever since the 50s with the abstract expressionists, there's been this divide intellectually with like the public and art as an institution and as like a marketplace. And I just feel like the CIA went too hard back then.
CIA went too hard.
You know what I mean? Like I love what they were doing. I love the Center for Cultural Freedom and all that, but I feel like they went too hard, and then everyone's like, "This shit is bullshit," and it's not ever recovered.
Yeah, although you saw there wasn't a CIA in the Soviet Union, and still had Malevich, and you still had the abstract forms and suprematism. I think it's just like. Yeah, I think people like to throw the CIA thing, but
I do like to do it. Guilty as
charged. That's no
charged.
difference than any other country kind of supporting artists.
It's true. It's true.
Through a national endowment supporting its nation's
we
artists.
weren't ready though. We were still on Rockwell.
Yeah, I wish the CIA was doing more.
Get back on it.
Helping artists rather than like doing 9/11 or whatever they've like.
They need to get back to basics.
Money, like that's okay. I think that's more benign.
Oh my god! I could talk all day about this. We got to
psychedelics.
We got to get out of here already.
Or whatever.
I can't believe it's already gone.
I don't believe the CIA did 9/11. That was the
FBI. That's there you go. Before we go, I always ask people like, who's your favorite artist? Who's your least favorite artist right now? Since you're doing criticism.
Oh, my least favorite artist. I just because he just did the Zuckerberg sculpture, Daniel Arsham, I think is pretty
boring,
pretty whack. I walked by. He did a collaboration with like Kohler.
Oh yeah.
He did like a bathtub for them and like
Kohler brand.
Once you're doing plumbing, I don't think it's not a collab.
Well, thank you all for listening on your Lucky Time Explosion branded headphones. This has been Dan Rosen. Hope to have you back sometime, man. This is a really fun episode.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you.